Hey guys, welcome to another Aleroart podcast. Talking about progress art and art related in the field of making art, making comics, being an illustrator, how you're dealing with being a creator, an individual, making content. Um, I'm Aleroart and making comics and making different forms of creative things is one of the things I just enjoy to do. I'm most know by that, whether it be teaching workshops for after school programs, workshops in one day events, giving my input in how I go about my daily routines, whether it be with freelance or through how do they put it, contract programs where you're working for a couple of months or a year in that sense. So that was just a little bit of an introduction of just explaining who I am. If you guys haven't been following my work is on Instagram as well as Twitter, as well as having my aleroart.com. So that being said, I just want to talk about what I want to do for today's topic, and I just want to talk about mentoring. And if mentoring, it being in a form of getting individuals to see progress in their work, is how I would explain it. Me looking up to creators, whether it be in my field or not. I think in a sense, we kind of have that in us because we're not given a blueprint or a booklet of like, hey, this is what it is, because not everybody is in that same race. My marathon is being a cartoonist as well as an educator in the sense of part of life, not so much of how to draw, but how to create content and building, just to be more creative. Finding the words kind of hard to explain in that, but in that sense. And if you know me, if I hear people that haven't really, they grew up with a coloring book using crayons and making stuff, that's really cool. And as you get as an adult, you kind of think that you have to stop. But my personal belief is that you should be creating regardless, whether it be making art, whether it's making music. Just look into that, what's around, and just to you just want to grow. I'm a student forever. I want to keep learning new technicals. I want to learn new ideas how to expand my Aleroart existence, rather it be digital, rather it be traditional, rather it be 3D printed or animated. I just wanted to have sky's the limit, having my creator-owned content, whether it be Alley Cat. He's visual on social media, but as well as he could be a printout, he could be a 3D toy. He just talks to people, and that sense where I want to see where else can I put him on a keychain, him on an apparel, on a hat. I want to see him on shoes. I want to see him on I was about to say a handbag, and I've already created a bag or two designs already, so that's kind of like seeing that form. But back to the main subject, is back to mentoring. When I was growing up, my mentoring would be growing up in a family of 15 children. Yes, I am the 15th child, 9 sisters, 5 older brothers, and I'm the youngest of all of the total 15. you have that sense of looking to mentoring of growing up, and you want to be like your older siblings in that sense. But being as a creator in making artwork, I looked into others that just to fulfill what my motivation was to be. And as a child growing up in the 80s and 90s, television, after school television, Saturday morning cartoons, that was my introduction of wanting to draw and make art. I didn't have the sense that those people on television were art directors, storyboard artists, character designers. I didn't know it because you just saw blurs of words at the end of a show, and then you see a logo. I didn't even know what a logo was, and but you kind of gravitate towards that. So my mentoring as a kid was these cartoons and watching television shows of like Looney Tunes or Tom and Jerry. You start to hear names like Chuck Jones and who else? Fritz Freeling and Tex Avery. And those are the directors, and there's the ones that are putting together these shows, animation in the sense, and that's what their job was. So I kind of found those to be one of my first mentors, and with that, I would look at how I would personalize my work when I drew. So when I drew, I kind of had a bit of the Tex Avery with the wacky humor, and it's still in my rapport as who I am. I'm trying to get a laugh or smile or just to show something positive out of the day, rather be a bad day, whatever. Just try to. Tom and Jerry with Hanna-Barbera. Just on the sense of not using voices, but more of your actions of movement. That was one of mine in that. So I looked up to things like that. Later on, it would get into like action figures and with He-Man, Transformers, and a sprinkle of GI Joes here and there. But later on, it was more of like Ninja Turtles. So with that, I had no concept as a kid. You didn't know, especially coming into the form of the early 90s cartoons, late 80s cartoons of the Ninja Turtles. I wasn't aware that it was original black and white, created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. That was their first incarnation. But four turtles, different colors, bandanas. It hit me, so that's all I drew. So again, I was just influenced by these shows and these cartoons, and so that's another one. Getting into like middle school into high school, I started getting into collecting comics. I came in around the time when Superman had died. Batman got his back broken. And there was Maximum Carnage, or that was the series, so it was just Carnage, but I always addressed it as Maximum Carnage. That was that. So if you guys follow that world of comics, that's where I say I started. So I would, as everyone who starts off, you kind of look at a drawing and just draw a page or a panel, and that's how I started. So I loved comic books, but I didn't know that as an illustrator you could do that kind of stuff. So I was just, I didn't know what a job was going to be. I know in middle school I was the kid that could draw, and if it was a project where it involved like history class where you have to draw a map, and the teacher said, well, this is the part we have to draw, I was the kid in the center where everyone just stared at me, like saying like, oh, I know he's gonna have fun with this. So that was always a treat. But again, I didn't know that's what it was. I didn't know as a kid what a cartoonist was. I could see it on newspaper or Sunday Post, and Charlie Brown, Heathcliff, Marmaduke. I just didn't know. So, but little by little, I love that stuff, and those were like in the back of my head what my mentors were. So, yeah, looking around and creating, just drawing on the back of a test paper, and I have a sibling that has a couple of those, and you could see that I didn't do too well in taking the test, but I was just really happy to draw is what I walked away with. So I get asked a lot of what are my influence, how do you get started, what was it that connected, and why is there still a drive there. As someone who looks up and asks these questions to me, I just try to be as truthful of explaining where, hey, if you want to be an artist, it is work. It's always going to be work. It's going to be hard work. There are not there's like, it can go in a direction. That's why for me as an illustrator, I'm drawing comics and I'm doing workshops and I'm doing the graphic illustration scene, because there's no direct sense of that. And when I have younger students ask, like, can you do this? And I tell them right away, yes, you can do it. Everybody should be given that chance. And sometimes you might want to continue on, and then maybe you just want to do other stuff. And as someone who's asked me all the time, I always let them know, it's like, you are entitled to that, and you should be able to at least try. So yeah, I think I get that sense of mentorship, and I try to, again, you always want to give that sense of advice, that when I would look out to a direction of people. And at the beginning, I didn't really have that sense, because one, I wasn't in an area that required to be able to interact with other creators, if you will. I didn't get that until after high school, and we were hitting the internet time. So there's just a point of like seeing in magazines like about art creators and comic book makers, like, wow, this is who I want to be. And when you hear about where they're from, I gravitated to hearing people that were from Chicago, like, wow, I could do this too. And kind of just want to learn. I wish how I approached people, I guess I wish I had better like understandings of like how would I ask, but I was more shy. I was happy to see that they're from Chicago or from the area. My thing is that when I get asked, like, I want to draw, I already know those answers, where I tell these up and coming artists that what you should do. And I think in my head, that's what good advice and mentoring should be. And you shouldn't try to give them the scare, but you can give them the truth of like, hey, sometimes it doesn't work out right away, but you could try different things, is what I try to give. So when I teach a class, I don't tell a student they're drawing wrong, because I don't believe in that. I believe that everybody has a form of talent. It's how you channel it and what are you going to use it with is how that is. So if you're trying to draw like realistic in a cartoon environment, it doesn't work. Or if you're doing cartoony in a realistic environment, maybe it's not in that field. Maybe that cartoony style could be for an all-age book, and stop trying to fit in what in a gory adult type of environment. It just doesn't gel. So that's what I would try to give, that kind of sense of direction. I find myself that when I do art shows, I am approachable. You are able to ask, but at the same time, I don't know how much of me giving this advice of letting people know that, if it doesn't work, or, there's so much that you tell a person that they will listen. And in an experience that I've been in where a couple of times, just giving advice, it's cool, but they would come back and say, it's just not working out, and you gotta let them know. It's like, hey, again, it's what you make of it, and that's what I try to give that sense of. Sometimes it's hard to swallow the truth in that, and by no means, I've never been in a situation where I tell people stop and not creating. My thing is just you gotta just keep doing it, but it's up to you as the individual to walk away and say, all right, well, maybe I could do something else, and that's what I'm trying to say. But I never tell people you should stop creating content. It's in you for a reason. You should be just doing it in general, and I think that's great. But as a person to tell you how to dictate your life, that's not a mentor, and that's not even a person you should be looking for as a form of guidance. So I try to keep my words limited in being approached, because I always see somebody trying to turn it around and make it sound like I gave an advice, and it happened once before, but I just I just encourage people just to make content, because I am not the person that's waking up, looking in the mirror and telling you how you should live. You are your individual. You should be doing it. And granted, you might be new at learning about it, but you just have to learn that, hey, you're not making the artwork for other people. You are creating your content for yourself. This is the reason why you like anime. There's a reason why you like comic books. There's that reason. And for myself, I'm in this world where I know the reason why I want to create content, because it's a passion of mine, and it makes me feel good when I create it. Rather people follow it, it's a bonus. It's even cooler when people can see the vision in that. But at the end of the day, I hold no fault to individuals that don't make artwork. I can't blame others. You can't blame people to tell you how you should be creating content. So yeah, it's a weird thing, especially when you want to try to do good. So it's very unfortunate that if you're trying to give that mentoring in the sense of you ask and then you get the answer, and the answer that they don't want to hear, they just want to blame, and all you want to do is give a positive. So I'm learning that so much that, hey, I'm always thinking I'm approachable to be asked, but you have to walk away and understand that you are responsible. I am not responsible for anyone else but for me, and that when I look at what I do, I understand if something doesn't work out and people aren't liking my work, I accept that. And you can try to give that advice, that friendly advice, but it's up to that individual to walk away and say, I was the reason why that didn't go right for me. So that's just another that's just another part in being explaining being a mentor in the sense. So I just want to cover grounds, and that I make little notes. I'm not a podcaster. I am a content creator where I just want to share at the end of the day what's the insight as an artist. So following through, these are things that you should want to look into. I know everybody wants to be in some sense like the person they go to, and if you're not, that's cool too. But if you're given the opportunity of having family around that look up to you as like nieces and nephews, or me being a teacher, you do hold a sense of responsibility in the sense of having to explain certain things that people will be able to what's the word I'm looking for, look to you for guidance. And if your field is in creating content, you kind of hold that responsibility in your work. So I just tell people, I'm like, I'm just being honest. This is how I would do it. It might not be good for you, but for me, this is how I would do. And that even artists that or in general I look up to, I just can't hold accountable for my doing. If I like something in an artist, I could only use that in the sense of, that could make me and help me grow. Certain content artists that I follow, there's so much that I can that you kind of move on from, and I expect that from up and coming creators that would ask me questions, because in my brain, and I tell them out loud, I even tell this to my middle schoolers, you guys are going to do way better than me. You guys are going to create more, and you're going to create better content than I. You're going to draw way better than me. You are going to just go farther. And that's what someone in that world doesn't necessarily have to tell you, but you should kind of give that sense to when you're talking to them, and it just builds confidence. And not that you have to walk around and give everybody that sense of that, but when I speak for myself, I always tell them, hey, you will, and it's really great when they do go farther, and that you are not responsible of telling a person, it's their fault. It's not their fault because you didn't get the book deal. It's not their fault because you didn't create. It's the individual who went in and created. And that's where I kind of look back and tell people that do ask, who do you look for at mentoring and whatnot. And for me, I'm just like, hey, I look up to musicians. I look up to different genres of artists that I want to see in my work. Sometimes I look up to realistic artists, or I look up to artists that don't fit my actual cartoony style. And I always find it funny when people say, like, well, that's not how you draw. I'm like, well, it's not how I draw, but it's still something that I find in my work that only I can say it helps me grow as an artist, if that makes sense. So just because you go to a comic book store, using this as an example, I'll collect like the image style or this more realistic style, doesn't mean that I need to go out and grab all the cartoony stuff that makes me who I am. I love a variety of artwork. Segueing into still talking about mentoring, I have a couple of mentors that in some forms and others they are helpful in learning. I have mentors that explain just their philosophy and how they approach, and sometimes it works works for them because that's what they do, but for me to take from what they have, sometimes it's helpful for me, and then other times it just doesn't work for me because I'm not that person. And I just address to tell up and comers or people in general that want to be creator content people that want an audience to follow and this and that. Sometimes it's not going to be how you you see it be, and that how do I say this? I get people that just want to tell how you should do it, and they don't have a follow up of, well, what happens if it doesn't work? And you gotta let them know, like, hey, maybe this should always have that sense of like, maybe this doesn't work out for me in that sense. So I go ahead and bring up that because we all want to have a form of being the creator or creating content that it's gonna just be all right for everyone. And the reality is not everything is all right with that. Not everybody's gonna dig an orange cat with glasses and a pouty face, and I'm fine with that. And just because you see somebody else succeed with say Hello Kitty or Charlie Brown, not everybody dug what they were doing at the time too. So when people look at what I do and they say I want to do that, or I could do that better than them, I always applaud them and say, yeah, that's dope, that's great. But at the end of the day, I'm not in your marathon. I am my own. This is my doing. There's a reason why I want to paint Alley Cat eating chips and drinking like soda bottles on a porch, because it's something of reminiscent of how I was growing up here in south side of Chicago. I just do a reflection. Now, you might can draw a cat way better than me, and you can put him in a hat with a little crown on it for whatever reason you do it, and then there's a reason why you put glasses on. But for me, I know why I create mine. So I'll encourage people, if you're going to make a character, and if it's going to be a cat or it's going to be something cool, there's a reason why. And I, as a mentor, I would applaud you that you should want to make creator content in that sense. So I don't know, I just wanted to touch bases and explain like the good and there is the bad at being a mentor, and explaining what a mentor does. Sometimes our mentors that we look up to aren't what we expect them to be, and it ends up being something else, and that's fine. You just got to keep going. You have to be creating in that. Not everybody has that in them to give that, and if they show it with their work, that's awesome. If someone likes my work and doesn't believe and do what they're believe what the philosophies I go about, I'm fine with that. I'm not bothered by it. I'm not hurt, because at the end of the day, and the cool thing is that you're living your idea of how you should be. But more importantly, I just want you to grow, and I think that's way important in that. So one of the things I mentioned is, while I'm doing these recordings, I am drawing and painting. I do multitask. I do a little bit of straighten up with my art books that I look up and find inspiration to. And I think for like right now, one of the things that I do, where one of my I have a mentor that works at a comic shop, and that I'm always given various artist styles to look at, and though some of it doesn't match my work, it's just something that I appreciate that I'm given to look at. And I think what I grab from that is growth. Not everything that I use in my work is 100% to other people's likings, and it's just what my mentor, one of this artist mentor that gives the sense of like, look into this artist and look into that. It's not to be stagnant And though I draw cartoony, again, I mentioned I look at realistic. If I'm doing sketches for the day, I'll try to do more realistic. I did go to art school to learn like realism in drawing. Um, I did sit in the classes where you just drew from life. I did do that, and it's cool. And I know that at the end of the day, that I could sit down and do more of those, and I can incorporate that in my work. So I encourage people that are creating content and looking for that direction. I always say just try to, if you're doing everything digital, just take a break and try to draw something that's traditional, and vice versa. You might even want to try printmaking. You might even try sculpting. That's cool. That's on my list to do in a couple of weeks. I have a block of clay that I just want to try. If it works, if it doesn't, it's that. I think when I tell people, I just want people to see that you can create in that. And speaking as a person, that if you're looking for that guidance, I tell them, like, just be versatile. You might see your favorite creator just doing one thing all the time, but at the end of the day, you should be able to try and relax part of that brain to be creative in the other sense. And for me, taking a break from drawing consistent comic pages, I'll try line art, or I'll try painting. I'll try something just to switch it up. I'll give a character a different outfit. I will try something just because I was taking a break and learning something different in my style. So I'm always in a search of that, and I think you should always be in that search too, that you should want to do that. As if someone's asking or telling it, you should be able to give that sense of, like, for growing, there just can't be this idea that you're just going to be a teacher. You always want to learn and grow, and that's what I do, and what I would want from people who ask me my opinions. And again, it's just my opinions at the end of the day. It's just what works for me and what I think would work, and it's all in good nature. Being a creator and people asking, it's at the end of the day, I'm not living your life, I'm living mine. I'm not responsible for that, but at the same time, I know I'm being asked, so I can give my best advice, and hopefully that helps. But at the end of the day, you're responsible for how you are towards yourself, towards your family, towards your work environment. You are responsible for that, and you should be able to incorporate that when you do that. So if down the line you are a mentor and someone asks, you can give your advice, and just to keep in mind that sometimes it's not all telling them that you're drawing wrong. I think the good mentors are the ones that try to give the advice that showing mistakes and showing that you could try different things. That's a good mentor. And as far as not a great mentor, they could draw their ass off, but if their attitude is sour and their personality is, it just doesn't go so far. So I don't know, that's just how I see it. And again, I could be wrong. I always admit to being wrong. But if you ask me, I just let people know, I'm like, just create. So I laugh at this my consistent rambling about being a mentor, because this is what the topic is. Just adjusting my chair. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy doing that kind of stuff where people would ask. This would be something that in my next video post, bringing up more about what to look out for in mentoring, or looking up to, or being a person that needs to, because we all have in some form, whether be personal or artistically. Um, you always want to try to give that a little bit in every other an example. So I think primarily this this audio is more of just giving the sense of what's the good and what's the bad and what's not to expect, and what to expect for self to take away from, because at the end of the day, you should be responsible for your actions. The good intuition of yourself, you should be able to, see that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You might draw cartoony one day, you might draw realistic, and there's no right and there's no wrong. It's just you are entitled because you are in control of this marathon. I want to give a shout out to mentors out there. Thank you in all forms, humor-wise, cutting to the chase, and giving it to you. I believe we all have that sense. And for myself personally, I'm very grateful because as a kid growing up in the south side of Chicago, a lot of my siblings, the age gap was they were just older, and I was just for myself of attending school and learning these different things. I didn't really have that sense besides my friends, and then there's the the TVs and movies and stuff like that. But I just always try to look for, even in the beginning, of possibilities. So if it's not drawing on paper, I was drawing on a wall. If it wasn't on the wall, I drew on apparel. I drew on my shirts. I didn't know what graphic design was, but that was that. And when I talk to my students, let them know, I'm like, sky's the limit. You can be any kind of artist you want to be. Don't put yourself in a room that has no possibilities. There are possibilities. It might be in music, it might be in television, it might be in life, it might be in something, but always have that hope and that optimistic mindset. I know it's hard at times, but even in my down days, I'm always trying to find something that's positive. And I think that's why I created Alleycat. Alleycat's my alter ego, and I tell my students, I go, maybe your alter ego is somebody or something. Mine just happens to be a cat, and he's always like, he's not mad, he doesn't hold anger, he's just this go with the flow, happy-go-lucky. And the dudes around want to be cool like him, and the ladies love Alleycat. So I don't know, that's my mentoring topic of talking today. I'm always looking to grow. I'm always looking to venture out in new projects, to be a better Aleroart. And I'm grateful that I have an audience that comes around to listen. I hope there's whatever you take away from these audios, it's all in positivity. I am not looking to dictate. I'm not looking to make anybody think the worst. I just want to show possibilities. I want to show that you can make stuff from nothing. You have an idea, put it on paper, build an audience, build a brand, be consistent and creative. I'm Aleroart. I am on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I am on Twitter. I'm approachable to talk to, but I can't understand if you need to talk about personable situations of your life. We all have our own battles. I'm more of like, just make art, make content. I know there's people that try to approach me about living situations and this and that, but I can't answer because I don't know both sides. And being approached by a person that wants you to give only the answers they want to hear, it's not fair. It's not fair for you, and it's not fair for me as a person you're approached. And I needed to explain that, and I tell people just you have to just be optimistic and just create. And that's just my take at that. So I'm not making this a personable direct to anyone. This is putting it out there, telling people in general is we are all responsible for our own destiny. Let's keep making stuff. Let's make the world a little brighter. Let's be more kind to humanity. Let's be nuts. We don't need shallow. We don't need bullies. We need creative and show possibilities. That's what we need more in this world, or in my cartoon brain that I think we should have. And we should just do that. And if I could reach just one person and tell them, hey, you can do it, that's fine enough. That's awesome. And even if it's for yourself, I have to tell myself that I am going to do it. And it sounds like a silly SNL, good enough, smart enough type of model, but it's true. And if you could give that to, say, someone who looks up to you in that mentoring, just give them that. You don't have to give them false hope. You're not trying to do that. At the end of the day, I just want to see people do good, and I know I just want to see people do better than me. I want to grow as well as I know people around me want to grow. Just keeping consistent. So I want to wrap this up. I think I said that before, that I'm still learning how to close up these audios. So I want to say thank you again. I'm Aleroart. Everything is Aleroart, and you can check me out on Aleroart.com. I have a Patreon page if you want to support it. I'm always posting updated artwork with the current book I'm working on logos and creating content, adding audio, as you could hear. I also show video labs. I am a grateful dude that I get to create content on a regular basis. So with that said, speaking for Alley Cat, meow meow, that could be anything he says. I look forward to posting more of these. So peace out. Thanks again.